Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are, and possibly good morning if you're catching this late or something. I don't know. I don't know where it's morning right now, but it's morning somewhere. Australia, perhaps. Anyway, good to see you. Let me just hold on a second. Comments. There we go. Queuing up a couple of things on my phone so that I'm ready to do this the right way. And as promised, I'm going to teach you the how, what, and why of your core brand story. Looks like we've got a couple of people joining in. Say hi, drop a comment, smiley face, thumbs up, heart, poop emoji, whatever. I don't care. Interact, engage, please. Help the algorithm tell the rest of us something cool is going on here. So here's the overview, guys. Here's the 1,000-foot view of why you need a core brand story. Think about yourself when you scroll through social media, right? It's fun, it's addictive, arguably, but it's also very easy to tune everything out. So you don't want to be tuning everything out. You don't want people to tune you out, I should say. It looks like somebody jumped on, but I can't tell who you are because I don't really know why. Let's see. Oh, Allison. Hey, Allison. You gotta when you do things to use social media for business, you've got to constantly be thinking from the mind of the people you're trying to talk to. Versus, and this is a huge mistake we all make, we get caught up in what we're doing and what we think comes next, and we forget to look at it from the point of view of the audience. Now, regardless of what service it is you have, regardless of what life-changing program or process you are in possession of that you can help people with, regardless of how much it could change their lives, people will not distinguish you from others until you understand some certain key elements about branding yourself, personal branding. And that's really what the question mark story model is about. That's what the core brand story is. Your core brand story is a true but artfully presented version of your life. Because most of you, let's face it, what you do to help people is some variation of what you needed help with earlier in your life at some point, right? And so when you share your life story in a certain way, what happens is it communicates to other people without you having to be heavy-handed about it. It communicates to other people that you understand what's going on with them. It creates an opportunity for empathy. And this is so important because empathy is sort of like, it's like a cure-all. It's like a big fix for so many problems. Number one being distrust, skepticism, right? Cynicism. And on social media, people are full of skepticism and cynicism. And so you need a way to cut through that. You need a way to do what I call earning their trust. And the best thing I've ever found, bar none, for earning people's trust is, sorry, I'm watching my phone and the computer so that I can manage the people talking and interacting. Unfortunately, you guys are kind of quiet out there, so I'd like you to get busy and send me up some emojis and stuff like that. But the point is this: you got to figure out a way to cut through the noise. You got to figure out a way to distinguish yourself from others who do what you do. And the best way to do that is to create an opportunity for people to empathize with you. Because empathy is the cure-all. You can't have empathy and cynicism really in the same environment, right? You can't be skeptical of somebody while still feeling like you relate to them. Okay, so That's the point. Now, the way that we do this is through something that I call the question mark story model. And the question mark story model is, if you've been around long enough, you've seen a lot of people use a really watered down version of the hero's journey, right? The question mark story model is what those poor executions of the hero's journey were meant to be. So, sort of losing my train of thought here. It's the part of the day that I get a little kind of punchy. I have that midday fade like so many people have. So let me just break into how the question mark story model is structured and why that makes it different from, a hero's journey. So a typical hero's journey has some problems in the context that we need to use it in as coaches and in our marketing and positioning. One of the reasons why, or one of the problems it has rather, is that when people recognize a hero's journey, they don't suspend disbelief. I hope that makes sense. So you don't suspend disbelief if you think you're experiencing a story, right? And if you don't suspend disbelief, you can't then start to have that process of empathizing happen. And if the people you're talking to, your audience, don't empathize with you, then you have not managed to break yourself away from the sort of crowd who do similar things to what you do. They all use the same language. They all talk the same. They show up the same. They say the same stuff. They all sound the same. You experience them all the same. The question mark story model is what allows you to, allows people, I should say, to experience you differently. So here's how it works. Now, this assumes that you have downloaded it and you have watched it. So I'm not going to go to the level of like breaking down the whole formula for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you why the formula is like it is. And if you haven't gotten your own version, hey, Camila, of the question mark story model, it's in the welcome post and it's free for you. Or if you want, you can go to my profile and buy it. But I'm giving it to you guys in the group for free. And so the question mark story model is, it solves the problem of people being cynical and recognizing a hero's journey and then sort of tuning out. And how it does that is it starts with a critical period in your life, the darkest point, the biggest challenge, the thing that was powerful enough to transform the whole way that you think. Once you have that, you then go back into your childhood. You go into what I call your back history. And you what you need to do is you need to sort of paint a picture, build a bridge between innocence of youth, right? The innocence of being a baby and a child, and what things happened that led you to this dark, heavy, intense, transformational moment that you experienced. This is crucial because what everybody does with their hero's journey is they literally just say things like, and you've seen this a million times, a year ago, I was sleeping on a friend's couch or sleeping in my car, and I was looking for a way to make a change. And then an opportunity came along, but I didn't trust it, right? But then I went in, like it's just so insultingly formulaic. But then I went all in, and if you've ever fallen for or wound up being cornered into an MLM pitch, this will sound really familiar, But I talked with my wife or I talked with my husband, and we decided we were going to commit and go all in. What they're doing there is they're priming you for the big, big sale they're going to ask you for in a minute. And we went all in and nobody understood. Now they're priming you so that when people who have common sense tell you you shouldn't do the thing, you're already ready with nobody understood. And the typical hero's journey is it's a patterning thing. The typical hero's journey used in sales, I should say. It's just this thing that gets you ready, sets you up for the big sale the big ask. And it always sounds like, I was living in my car, but then this moment came along and I was afraid to do it, but I did it anyway. And my whole life changed. And, now I'm, I don't know, flying around the world on a flying yacht or something, right? We've all heard this. And hopefully, as you're listening to me say this, hopefully you're rolling your eyes a little bit because you recognize how stupid those stories sound. Now, with the market that you're in, so being as sophisticated as it's become, getting to the level of sophistication it's at, it turns out that a lot of these gurus who used these stories, the truth is coming out. Like, it's crazy. I just saw a big conversation on Facebook yesterday with screenshots of a certain guru and his private text conversations with people. And the shit this guy was saying was just offensive. It was just horrible, but the thing is that's happening more and more and more. And that's happening more and more and more because a lot of these people built their brands and their empires on BS. So you don't want to be a BS person, I hope. And so you need a more powerful mechanism, right, for distinguishing yourself from the audience. And believe it or not, the whole thing about starting with your most challenging moment, your darkest place, and then going back to your childhood and then having the story work back up to that moment of transformation is the tool that allows people to suspend disbelief and trust you and listen to you. It lowers defenses. It relaxes people. And it makes them able and willing to listen. And so it becomes this very, very powerful tool for distinguishing you from the other people in your industry who do more or less what you do. So in case you're not tracking here, I've just covered how to start, what the next step is. So you start at that transformationally challenging moment. Then you go back to your childhood and you work your way back to that transformationally challenging moment. And then you move forward through the part of the hero's journey that you may recognize already. But when you move forward, you give more detail. You don't just, I was sleeping on a couch a year ago and then, blah, blah, blah. Like, tell us, pick moments in your journey that show challenges you faced, show how you overcame those challenges, and most importantly, shows what you've learned. So the challenges you faced, what you did to overcome them, and what the lesson was. And you want to string these lessons together. You want to string them together so that they act like an ascension toward what you do now, what you understand now, who you are now, and kind of why you're here. I hope that makes sense to you. Hope that's tracking. One thing I don't like about live streams is I can't get instant feedback on whether or not this is, whether or not you guys are following this stuff. Yeah. So, okay. Well, I'm not seeing a lot of people on this one, so a lot of you guys will probably catch this later. Oh, hey, Wendy, thanks for tuning in. No sooner do I say that than somebody tunes in. But remember, you can go to the welcome post in this group and you can grab a free copy of the question mark story model. What creating and then using the question mark story model will do for you is it will help you to stand out in a crowded marketplace. Why it will help you to stand out in a crowded marketplace is because it'll create a pathway to empathy between your audience and you. And empathy is sort of the antidote to cynicism and distrust and, the stuff that we all have because we're bombarded with such similar marketing messages all the time. So if you want to stand out, you've got to really drill down into your story From your story will emerge your unique positioning, and then you share that. And that's what will start to distinguish you from other people. Yesterday, I had a sales call, and it was successful, with a guy who's been watching me for 5 years. The last time he and I spoke or talked was 4 years ago. And what he said to me was amazing. He said, send me over the invoice. Let's get started. He said, I don't even need anything else because I've been watching you for 5 years. And you're the one guy I know who shows up truthfully, honestly, scars and all, and tells it like it is, which is exactly what I try to do. So that's a sort of an object lesson in what happens when you get your core story right, and then you use it as the sort of cornerstone for how you show up in the market. It's very important to me to tell the truth. It's very important to me to be of integrity, be in alignment with my values and my principles. And to have somebody who I'd really never spoken to before get on the call and say, I don't need anything else. Just send me the payment link because I've been watching you for years and, you are. And then he went on to say exactly what I try to project out there into the market. The same thing can happen for you, but you've really got to get your story out of your head onto paper and then have that experience transform the way you speak and show up. That's the key. That's the ticket. That's the secret. So, yeah, I'm just going to leave it there today. To be honest with you, I'm a little off my game today, and that's all right. But I'm just going to leave that for you today. If you guys have any questions, write them in the group. Tag me in your questions. Let me know. You can either ask questions in the chat here, or you can just go into the group and post the question. I would prefer you do the latter. I'd prefer you just post the question in the group and then tag me so I can answer it. And with that, I'm going to leave you to it. Go and download your free copy of the question mark story model. You're very welcome, Trish. Trish, go get your free copy of the question mark story model. And Wendy McInnes, you as well. It's in the welcome post in this group. Like, it's at the top of the group. It's a pinned post, and there's a link in the bottom of it. So go get it and start your work so that you can have this same thing. Okay? All right. I'll talk to you guys later.